Today, I'm really excited to welcome my guest, Dr. Mike. He is a chiropractor with 31 years of experience working with clients over the years. He has treated many people and studied how stress, trauma, emotions, and body are deeply connected. He is also the founder of QINOpractic Medicine, a unique approach that combines chiropractic care, kinesiology, and holistic methods. And now he has gathered his knowledge and insights in his book, Ditt framtida jag, or Your Future Self, where he shares practical tools, stories, and wisdom to help us understand not only pain and health, but also how we can change patterns in life and create a better future for ourselves. I'm honored to have him here today to talk about his journey, his book, and how we can all take more control of our health and our lives. Welcome, Dr. Mike.
Thank you, Frederick. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
So you have had a long journey when it comes to being a therapist.
Yes, it started 1994, and the reason why I got into this field in the beginning was because I played both football and tennis in the U.S. for a couple of years, and in Sweden, of course. When I injured myself, busted my knee, I was looking for something to do after that. And then years later, after living in Spain, Turkey, and Denmark, and Greece, I discovered massage therapy. And then I said, this is what I want to do, because it wasn't this, it was more the dressing room and the talk with the guys. So then in 1994, I started my journey in massage therapy in Stockholm, and I read kinesiology in Denmark at the same time. So that was in 1994. And then I was a massage therapist for the Swedish national table tennis team, for example, and some big guys, Gio Waldner, the table tennis player for years. And then after 7 years of being a massage therapist and doing some kinesiology, I said I'm as good as I can be as a massage therapist. So I was a sports massage therapist, not one of the relaxing massage therapists. And then I said, I'm either going to be an orthopedic surgeon or a chiropractor, because I worked with all of them, both of those when I worked with the sports teams. So then it was only 5 years to become a chiropractor and 11 years to become an orthopedic surgeon. So I picked chiropractic. And that was around 2000. Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, you've been working a lot with sports. That must be very different, working with people and athletes than working with normal people in everyday life. They have different issues. And also, I was wondering, of course, for you to be a therapist, I know you probably like people and you like talking with people. And that was made the difference for you, and also you wanted to work with people because of why?
The beginning, like I said, it was only because I wanted to get back into a dressing room and working with sports people. But then when I started chiropractic college, I also started a long journey in kinesiology, advanced kinesiology. And then sort of my mindset changed. I was all into sports to start with. I thought that was the only thing. And, to do energy and those kind of words were so, I couldn't grasp this concept of energy and that kind of stuff. So I changed course, very different when I started doing kinesiology and chiropractic at the same time. When I went to chiropractic college for 5 years. So I changed, and now then it became more and more and more about the person behind. So how the person behind was feeling and stuff like that. And that was not the case when I started. That was just bite the pillow. It's gonna hurt. Yeah, very, very much so. Yeah, I'm a completely different therapist now than I was in the 90s, last century.
That's exactly what we're going to talk about today, because you have written a book, and This is the book. Ditt framtidag jag. You can buy it at Amazon. In English, is Your Future Self. I've been reading this book, and it's so many things that for me that was an eye opener for me as well. And we're going to discuss this now. So let's just begin with that.
Begin.
Future self. What does it mean? You write about the idea of our future self. How can a person connect and imagine with our future self and actually change the way we make decisions today?
Good first question because it's very broad. How I'm going to address this? So we run on patterns. The patterns that we run on starts at a very early age that I'm sure we're going to get into later on. So we're not going to get into that now. And your future self means that your life consists of, let's like a football match. You got a first half, and then you have an intermission, and then you got a second half. So let's say now, Frederick, that you and I are in the intermission. We're down 2-0. We can't change it. We don't want it to be 2-0 in our behind. We want to be up. But the reality is, when I look at the scoreboard, it says 0-2. I don't want to be there. Of course, I want to be in the lead. It's half time now. I want to be in the lead. So we can either use the halftime intermission with blaming each other. You did this, you did that, you headed the ball this, you did that. But if we do that tactics in the intermission, then we're not going to change anything how we're going to play the second half. So instead, we can use the intermission to just analyze, okay, this has happened, and then what changes are we going to do in the second half so we can turn the game around. So that's like in life. What have you done in the first half? You cannot change that at the moment. You can only change what's right now or in the future. Whatever happened in the past, happened in the past. And I use that on my clients a lot when they come back and they say, oh, this, that. No, that's first half. Stop focusing on first half. If you keep focusing on first half, you're going to get more of whatever happened in the first half. You have to start to train your brain, rewire your brain to focus on how are we going to change, what changes are we going to have to make. We might have to change some players. We might have to do different tactics in the second half. We might have to get rid of somebody in our life, a friend, a coworker, somebody that's dragging you down. So let's say that you have two oxes plowing a field, and then one of the oxes wants to go back. That's going to create a huge problem for the person that for the ox that wants to go forward, because there's somebody pulling the ox back all the time. That's what we have in life. We want to go forward, but we always have something that wants to pull us back. And we have to get rid of our luggage there that's wants to go back. It could be from fear, it can be from old patterns, it can be from we were wired as a kid that we're going to get into later on. So whatever's pulling you back, you have to change that and get both oxes to plow the field, because it's going to be so much easier to live in the second half if all of you are going in the same direction. Does that make sense?
It all makes sense.
Okay, because it makes sense in my head. I don't know if it comes out.
It makes sense.
Okay.
I think the challenge for most any people, we are programmed, conscious, and we are not even aware about it. We need to find a technique so we can rewire it. And I think that's a lot of times where people get stuck, because everybody want to be winning. Everybody want to have 2-0 on their side.
So here's not the problem when it comes to that, because you and me, Fredde, we are on as we're speaking right now. We have 4 different brain waves: alpha, beta, delta, and theta brain waves. When we're a crash course, 0 to 2, we only have one brain wave. That's called delta. And then I hope I'm not confusing it with theta, because it's just 7 years ago since I talked about this before. I think it's delta to start with. It might be theta, but delta brain waves is only like active between zero point 0.5 and 2 hertz. Those brain waves are only active when the child is born to finish whatever God has created. The child cannot have a hamburger because the digestive system is not done yet. He can't walk because the nerve system is not ready. The brain is not ready. It takes years. We start growing when we're 20, and our brain stops developing at 20. So we only have alpha brainwave 0 to 2 years old, and then at 2 years old we get the next brainwave, which also always is in when the child has a period of defiance. A trotsperiod, as you say in Sweden, and probably the same in Norway. And then the theta brainwave starts. And that goes between about 4 hertz to 8 hertz. And this period of time, the child is very, very, had a huge imagination. They can sit there for hours playing with 3 stones and as princesses and queens and blah, blah, blah. And then we think, oh God, our child is amazing. I mean, what the amount of imagination. So that is, we're going to come back to this later. This is between 4 and 8 hertz. So remember now, between 0.5 and 8 hertz, we have only 2 brain waves, and that's up to 6 years old. We're going to get back to this because this is important. At 6 years old, we have the next defiance, age of defiance, called terrible. It was terrible twos, the first one in English, and this is the little teenage years. At 6 years old, the child develops the alpha brainwave. Alpha brainwave is between 8 hertz and about 13 hertz approximately, and this is when the child becomes aware of himself. This is when they know who I am. I had a little kid, for example, that was adopted from one of the Korean countries, and when he was six months old, and for the next 5.5 years, this kid peed in bed every single night. And it's not just doop, it's outright pees, between 1 and 3 times per night. Imagine what that did to the parents. Okay, so when the kid was about 6 years old, he started to realize that he was different. He couldn't sleep over at the other guys, they couldn't. So when you're 6 years old, luckily this kid was easily treated. There was one treatment, and he was fixed. So let's say I still get goosebumps from that, because you really change somebody's life, from being yeah. So then the alpha brainwave starts, and then the teenage year comes when about 13. The beta brainwaves comes. The reason why I'm saying this is because when you and I are speaking here, we are on a conscious part of the brain, which is from 8 hertz to about 30, depending on how much stress you have. 30, you're very stressed. At 8, you're very calm, and you're just, but you're still conscious because you're aware. So let's say that you and I are now on 13 hertz. The problem is that most of the stuff the programs that we run on are programmed on the subconscious part of the brain, which is maybe 4 hertz. So in order to change your life, you can't function. You can't sit and talk to somebody on 13 hertz forever, because the root cause is somewhere in the subconscious part of the brain.
All right. Yeah.
We're going to get back to this later on. Hope that made sense.
It does make
okay.
sense.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that, because this is very important. This is in order to change something, to change a pattern, to change what happened to you, you need to go down to that level and be treated at that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right method.
Exactly. You can. This is not something you can do yourself easily. You can have methods that try to accommodate this for you, but it's very hard to get down to the subconscious level yourself.
You need a therapist.
You need somebody that can help you go down to the subconscious part of the brain and treat you there. For example, another example is I had a golfer that played on the Asian tour, and when he came to me, I think it was a Tuesday or something, he was going home. He was in Stockholm because he was no tour at the moment in Asia, and he was going home to watch one of his kids, can't remember if it was a boy or girl, to have a floorball game, floorball.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he has a certain stress physiology when he comes there. He's relaxed. He's going home, watching his kid play floorball or whatever, tennis, whatever. So 3 weeks later, in this case, or 4 weeks later, he was in Hong Kong, and he was standing on the 18th tee. He had to make par. So his stress physiology is very different on the 18th tee in Hong Kong than it is on my table 4 weeks earlier in Stockholm. So in order for me to help him, I have to put him in stress physiology and treat him there. Or take Sarah, who's bullied at work and does not like work because she's on the outside. So she comes to me on the way home, and she's going to go home and watch her kid play floorball. She's in a different stress physiology when she's leaving work and coming to me on my clinic, or when she's at work feeling shit. So in order for me to help her, I need to put her in stress physiology and treat her at that level.
It makes sense. Myself has been in therapy where I actually had to be exposed to what I was afraid of, and I had to be in that setting and go through it, and actually with techniques and good guiding, it helped me overcome the fear, and I had to feel the stress in my body and learn I can actually stand in this, but it will go over, and me not actually just boost the anxiety as I would do before I knew these techniques. So it makes sense.
Yeah, you have to find something that will help you, even if it's just a short-term thing. As long as you can just get over that anxiety at that moment and not get caught up in it. Even if it's just temporary, if it's only like half hour, whatever, as long as you can break the pattern and do something else. Yeah. But long-term healing, you need to address the root cause.
Yes, definitely.
I had, we're going to talk, there's a technique that I like to tell people to use. It's called EFT. It is a very good, it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. It's very good because it brings out, it's very good healing technique, and it's very simple to do yourself. And that's something I would recommend everybody to learn. I had a student of mine, Göran. Now I hope he hears this now. Göran's a friend of mine. He came. This was like his sixth or seventh course, and we were dealing with traumas. The weekend was about treating traumas, and EFT was one of the modules that we were going to use. The models we were going to use. So after like an hour and a half of introduction, I said, "Does anybody have like some sort of emotional problem that you haven't dealt with?" And Göran raises his hand. And Göran is I think he was like 44 years old then. He came from Croatia many years ago. And you know, that society down there is fairly masculine. And he had a fear of claustrophobia. Yeah, and he had a fear of small spaces, if you don't know what it is. And every time he could wake up and panic, and he couldn't go into closed doors. He couldn't go into like a bathroom or something at a friend's house because he got claustrophobic. So he said, "I got claustrophobia." I was like, "Göran, I've known you for 8 months now. You never mentioned this at all." And so I never mentioned this to anybody. My wife doesn't even know it. So sorry, Göran, I'm outing you a little bit, but this is on you. No problem. I know he doesn't mind. So we did some EFT where you tap like this. And then he said, "Nah, it's all right now." I said, "Okay, let's go into the kitchen where we had a very, very small toilet. Just a little loo and something to wash your hands with. That was it." And it was this big. And it was, so the whole class went in there, and we put him in that closet, and he panicked. Because you bring it closer. Yeah. Obviously, like if you're scared of a spider, you say, "Well, I'm not, it's okay now." But then when you put a spider here, you go, "Ah." Okay, so we went into the toilet, and he came out and was all panicky again, and we did another round of EFT. And then after, I think it was 1 or 2 rounds, he was just sitting there humming. And he has not had claustrophobia since then. Here's the system. You just don't
It's
tap.
a tapping.
Yeah,
technique.
it's tapping technique, but it rewires the system because you also do mantras that you say to yourself, and this works with the Chinese acupuncture. So these points are not just randomly picked.
Pressure.
Yeah, they're the first or last point in the acupuncture.
All right.
Not necessarily a pressure point. A pressure point is more a tender muscle. That's like that's a tender point.
All right.
The acupuncture points are not really tender points. They're a little bit different. It's semantics, but potato, but it's different. So it taps on either the first or the last of the meridian points, and it goes through all the 12 Chinese meridians when you do this. And you do this, and I have taught this to professional football players, and when they have a crappy first half, and if you're 18 years old, like one of my clients was playing for AIK in Stockholm, and so he had a crappy first half, and I said, just go into the toilet and just do this. Sit there, and do this. And he went out and had a beautiful second half. So it's really, really, really something I can definitely recommend that. Easy. There a lot of videos about that, and it's very simple to do yourself. It once you've done that 3 times, you know it.
Yeah, okay. That's a very effective way and easy. Yeah. You can see self-control and temptations. Why do people often repeat unhealthy patterns even when they know it hurts them? And what's one way to break that cycle?
That goes back to the EFT. That's a very good do it. So we start there. That's one way of doing it. The reason why is because now we have to go back a little bit that we talked about before with the different brain waves. I have in the book, as we spoke about before, an example, about little girl called, I think her name was Anna or something. I can't remember. There's a couple different metaphors there that I used, and I wrote this book 8 years ago, so I can't remember who there was anymore because I haven't read it in 8 years myself. I wouldn't read my own book, of course. Anyway, so in this case, it's about let's say, Anna. She's 4 years old. She spent the day at the kindergarten drawing a painting for her mother. So the mother comes and pick her up, and she's a little bit stressed. And when they go home, and Anna wants to show mommy the picture, but mom says, "Oh no, yeah, honey, I'm just going to finish this. I go upstairs and I'll come back. Just going to finish my work here. I have a little bit left." So Anna goes up to the room, feeling that she wasn't good enough. So she's doing another drawing. 4 years old, so it doesn't look very good. Well, of course, if it's our kid, it looks beautiful. If it's somebody else, they say, "What's wrong with this kid?" And
That might happen.
yeah. Anyway, so Anna does, and then the mother feels bad and comes up and sits with Anna and says, "Oh, this is so lovely, so nice." That Anna has learned a very, very, very important lesson. If she does it a little better, then mommy will be happy. So 4 years old, she's learned something now. So she's learned that if I do it better, then mommy's gonna be happy. So when Anna is 40 and she just finished a big project, everybody's applauding her, good work, Anna, you're the best. She thinks, I could have done it a little bit better. She's gonna chase acceptance all her life because of what happened.
So it
At
gets
4 years old.
rewired that early. Subconscious.
The seed gets planted there. But if you know anything about plants, if you don't water that seed is gonna die. And so, but the child will learn this, and because they're learning at 4 years old, the brain is still developing. They're still not even conscious, because consciousness comes at 6. So she's subconscious in the subconscious part of the level on the brain, and she doesn't understand. She can't do rational thinking, so she's using this to build the program. And so this is extremely important for for parents to understand what they say and how they behave is going to plant seeds in the child's brain. That's why I used to have, probably will have again, a course, a one-day course that I had then called Conscious Parenting, where I teach this to parents that are either has a newborn or pregnant, so they learn. I'm also going to write a book about that, to be honest with you, because I had questions. Yeah,
because
we all do.
usually think
We all do.
don't mean to harm.
No.
It just happens.
Yeah. I had another example in the book, I think. I think it was a guy called that. I can't remember the metaphor now. We'll come back to that later on. Yeah, ready?
Yes.
Did I answer any question? I talk so much I don't remember the first question. So look at the question again, and did I answer that at all?
Yeah, why do people often repeat unhealthy patterns even when they know it hurts them? And what's one way to break out of that cycle?
And it has to do with if you're an abused woman, then you have the seed has been planted by somebody. And in order for you not to do that, not to go to another abusive man, is to rewire the brain and take away that seed. Me as a therapist is fairly simple to do, but 9 out of 10 therapists or medical personnel has no clue how to do that. Göran knows how to do it. Talked about before. All my students know how to do it, but it's this is another thing that I wanted to bring up. Like we talked about before, to put person in stress physiology, it's very important to talk to Anna in this case, and to for her subconscious part of the brain to narrow in, because we have, let's call it a funnel. You know, funnel where you have like you pour water and it goes in like this. So we all have different problems, paying the bill, issues with our mother, issues with our spouse, you know, time management, stress, whatever you have. There's tons of shit that happens in our life. And in order to treat her the best we can, we have to follow that down and just treat that and not the rest of the crap. Let's say they have in a commune, in a county, wherever you are listening to this, let's say you have one school that has huge problems and they need 1 million, whatever your currency is called, but the commune or whatever it's called, they say, no, we have 10 schools. We give them 100,000 each. So that's going to improve the overall standard of the schools. But the school that actually needed 1 million is just going to cover some holes under this back there. So if the therapist or you have to funnel it down and just treat that little thing and not everything else.
Common in psychiatry that they only treat the symptoms. You don't get to the bottom of the problem, basically. Unfortunately,
planted years ago. No, they don't, because that's not part of their education.
Because
not part of their program.
You can be on a lot of medications and try a lot of different treatments, and you can even get worse if it's not addressed the core of the problem. Because the core of the problem is usually one thing. For instance, in my case, I was abandoned 2 months old. I have attachment trauma even today. I've been in a lot of therapy. Nobody before in Norway did address that I had adoption traumas or attachment traumas. So they put me on medication, electroshock therapy, a lot of different things. I've tried plenty of different therapies, alternative also, but basically when I started to learn about my adoption traumas and the right therapy and methods and techniques, we were working on the subconscious system of mine that I was not even aware that it was wired into me when I was just 2 months old, because I got panic attacks as a young child when I was separated from my parents, and I could not sleep away until I was at my friends' houses until I was probably 12 years old, and I was not even aware of it. But like you said, now I'm rewiring my brain and learning techniques. Even today, if I'm in a relationship and the relationship end, I can still feel the same panic attack, but I know how to deal with it now. But yes, and that is why it's so important to go into the core root of the problem and not just treat symptoms.
Because, like you said before, you were not aware of it because it's not on your conscious part of your brain. This is program has been programmed to you on your brain on a subconscious part of the brain. Now that sounds like weird because there's this conscious part of the brain and there's a subconscious part of the brain. The conscious part of the brain is you and me knowing we're sitting here.
Yes.
That's in charge of us knowing where we are. And then we have, that's a certain amount of space in your brain. We'll get back to that later. The subconscious part of the brain is the one in charge of our digestive system, the heart beating, the ones that deal with the stress hormones. When you walk out to get your paper, it's in charge of activating certain muscle, relaxing other muscles, and opening up the door and talking on your phone at the same time. That happens on the subconscious part of the brain. But that I wanted to say that the subconscious brain is so enormously bigger than the conscious part of the brain. You can't see this when people are watching, but let's say this room, Fredde. How big of a part of this room do you think that your conscious part of the brain is compared to the subconscious?
Sitting here and thinking about it, in my mind, I was thinking that my conscious part of the brain is taking all this in, everything I see, and it's a huge part of it. But of course, when you talk about the subconscious, it's probably when you talk about what I smell, what I can hear.
Every single sound, everything that you see is registered on the subconscious part of the brain, but not your conscious part. So what's the size difference do you think of this room? There's 4 of it here.
I'm not even aware of it.
No,
That's
I know.
the thing.
Yeah, that's why you have me here. I hope if you knew this, you could just interview yourself. Have a mirror here and just talk to yourself. You do that, by the way. No, I'm just joking. We're not going to get into that. I'm just joking. He doesn't talk to himself. The subconscious part of the brain is a lot bigger. The conscious part of the brain is 0.000034%. And in this room is about the size of our thumb. So whatever we program on our thumb is going to be the way that we judge the world.
All right.
If you're a racist, or if something's programmed here, you can only go the way that you view the world, whatever's programmed on your thumb. But healing takes place up there. So in order to heal, we can't sit on the thumb because healing is not on the thumb. We need to get into the subconscious part of the brain because that's what Deepak Chopra calls field of intelligence, I think he calls it. Can't remember now. This is metaphysics and stuff. We're not going to get into that. So the healing is take part over there in that corner. But as long as we sit and talk to our therapist on our thumbs, blah, 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 then we're never going to get into the subconscious part of the brain. We need techniques to get you into the subconscious part of the brain and deal with the root cause at 6.2 hertz, not on 13 hertz. Because that's just the symptoms. Claustrophobia, detachment, that's just the symptoms. They're not the root cause.
That makes total sense.
I'm glad, thank you. At least somebody understands what I'm talking about.
I read your book.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
And plenty of others when it comes to these type of things.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, and but it's extremely. You can think about it, and you can be aware of it, but it's extremely hard to do the treatment sometimes because you need to find someone who can work on that type of level. It's not been easy to find. Um,
Don't grow on trees. It's
it
it's
seems to
very
be kind of like a little bit um, lack of knowledge about this subject, and maybe in the West it seemed to me that and other people I've talked to, also other doctors, they said that it seems in the West that they cut the head off from the body, but in the Eastern medicine for years it's been one and a whole thing all
yeah.
along. And with your program is that you have been taking the best from the Western science and also the Eastern science, and you put that together,
Yeah, correct.
and you created a system for that. So,
Yes.
what made you be aware of that you need to use techniques from other parts of the world too and blend it together? What made the change?
Started with when I was in chiropractic college, and I did kinesiology at the same time, advanced kinesiology, and that's very those are two different worlds. One is like German, and one is like sitting in the on the beach singing "Kumbaya, my lord." Kumbaya, my lord. So there are two extremes.
Yeah, they are.
And yeah, and I went to chiropractic college a day and kinesiology, like, so it was messing me up. So I did one thing called craniosacral, and that's when it's an osteopathic treatment in the beginning. Then they took it out and just called it craniosacral, but it was really an osteopathic technique from början. From the start. From början. It's Swedish. From början, from the start. And we were doing this technique, craniosacral, and my teacher said this is the best thing to do when you have pelvic pain after giving birth. Foglossningssmärta in Swedish, pelvic pain after giving birth in English. I don't know the word in Russian or Spanish, but yeah, we just keep it simple here because our brains are not that smart. Anyway, so I wrote that on my webpage. I treat pelvic pain after birth now. Yeah, I can do that. And incontinence, yeah, whatever you call that. And for 2 years, nobody called me about that. Then some lady called me that was about an hour away from Stockholm. And she said, "Oh, I saw on your website that you treat that. Good, because I've searched for somebody for 5 years." And I said, yeah, I do that. I had no clue what I was doing. So, yeah, I can do that. So, and the day came and I looked at the books. Oh, damn, that's her. How did I do that? I'll say the F word, but I don't say the F word. So how am I going to do that? So I had to look in all my papers and, God, that's the craniosacral crap. I have to say, as a chiropractor, I remember the first couple of years I was in sports therapy only. So it was all about, oh, come on, bite the dust, do it now. Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was Arnold. And I was going to sit the whole pelvis is called pelvis. So it's not under her ass, but this part of the spine is called the pelvis. And you hold the cranial and you hold here, and you just sit there. And I remember sitting there doing the kinesiology course two years earlier, say, I'm never going to do this shit. This is crap. And it's like, oh my God, but she really believes in me now. And so when she, oh yeah, you know, I know how to do this, no problem. I had no effing clue at all. So anyway, so after the first, her dad drove her there because she was in a wheelchair. Not in a wheelchair all the time, but whenever she left the house, she couldn't walk very far, so she had to sit in a wheelchair, and she couldn't drive the car. So at home, she can manage to get by. Then, so I had to do the treatment on her, even though I didn't believe in it, but she wanted it, so do it. This is going to sound so bad when the people listen to this. Anyway, so the next treatment came, and because she wanted to come again, and I said, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, good." Still no clue what the hell what I was doing. I mean, so then she came, and she was feeling a lot better. It's like, whoa, seriously? Are you serious? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I had to still pretend that, of course. And here's like, what are you talking about? So, but to the third treatment, she drove herself. And that's when our mind started to change. Like, wait a minute, maybe there's something to all these other things that singing "Kumbaya, my lord." Maybe they have something right. That's when I started to experimenting, uh, doing my old massage techniques, doing kinesiology, the chiropractic. I started just trying to see if I can find a combination that would work for me. And after doing that at the chiropractic college, I wrote that in the book, right? Didn't I write that in the book? Yeah, I did. I did that at chiropractic college, and then you have to call in the guy, your lecturer, whatever, your mentor, whatever you call that, person, and you say, okay, I want to do this, 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 and then he stands and see you doing the, okay, and then he leaves the room. So he comes in and I said, I have to do this and this and this and this, and he said, Mike, you can't do that here. I said, I know that. I'm just saying what I want to do. So I did my chiropractic, and then when he left, I did my stuff. And then another client came in, and I said, I want to do this and this. He says, Mike, I told you, I know, I'm not stupid. I know I can't do that. And I did it anyway. So during the years, 2 years, then at the outpatient clinic or the chiropractic college, I had full. I had full all the time. 2 days a week, full schedule. And they were my guinea pigs. Yeah, trying out them. All of a sudden, I just had something that worked for me. Yes. And then one day, I was working in Smögen between my 4th and 5th year in a college, and I had my clinic in Smögen, which I wasn't supposed to do, especially not when the head of the department came. He was anyway. That's another story. So then one guy said, "Oh, can you treat us? Can you teach us this?" I said, "Listen, it's taken me years to develop this. I don't have any material. You want to just come to Stockholm and just take this away? And 1 weekend is not even enough. This is very advanced. This is combining Chinese medicine and treating with Chinese medicine, but with Western techniques." Yeah, and the philosophical part about how the brain works, how stress works, comes from the Western part, but the treatment is based on Chinese medicine. So I combine Chinese and Western medicine. So then I just call it like, well, postgrad courses for therapists. I had no name for it because I was never supposed to teach. But then one day I said, you need a name for it. So it was then QINOpractic. Kino, first was the part chiropractic, that's true, but it's also part Chinese. So I later changed that to the QINOpractic was spelled with a QI instead of a kino, because it was kinesiology and chiropractic in the beginning. QINOpractic, which was like but then it was spelled with a K. Then I changed it to a Q because it has to do with life energy. Yeah. This is chi, so this is life energy we're talking about. Yeah. So this is what I do. I know it probably sounds very abstract to people to understand this, but it's taken me years to develop this, and nobody since I started this, all hundreds of students I've had in many countries, nobody has ever heard of or seen what I do, because it's so different. Because I don't do it the way anybody else does it. That's what I wanted to learn. So I've taught thousands of students.
You were saying there is actually talking about the energies now a little bit, and because it's a very important thing of your treatment, but energy, it's something that we have inside of us. It's something that we transfer to people. You can talk about energy and why that is very important to understand that part too.
I'm leaning forward now because we're getting into nitty-gritty stuff now. Yeah, I have to look. I have to look like I actually know this shit.
I really hope you do.
When it comes to energy, there are two ways of looking at this. There's the Western way, which Einstein used, E equals 2mc squared, which is energy times a speed of light squared. If you turn that around, mass, this is mass, this is mass.
Yeah.
That times the mass times the electrons, the speed of light squared, if you look at that, Western medicine is based on a triangle, like there's a pyramid. So they look at the cells. The cells are the most important thing. They are the foundation in Western medicine. The cells produce hormones. So that's the key. And when a certain amount of cells are connected together, they form an organ. For example, a liver or an eyeball. They have the same energy, the same frequency. Otherwise, the liver cell would be something else. And then when certain amount of different parts fits together, we have the human body. Okay, so it's a triangle: cells, organs, man. Einstein had, and also now the metaphysics now has another level in the end, and those are called atoms. Because that's what Einstein was talking about, the electron that spun around the nucleus at speed of light squared. And we're not even going to get into that because that's very deep. So but the other part to look at it is in Chinese medicine when there's qi. And that's life energy. That's not the same as we in Western see energy. Now, when it comes to energy, I have a little metaphor that I use. It's we all have different frequencies. Energy is frequency. So let's say that you and I are on, still as we get together really, really well. We have the same frequency approximately because we like each other. We don't have to fake it. There's something about us that we like. And so we have about the same frequency. So let's say that the frequency starts at 95.5 up to 107.7. So we're going to be somewhere in this range, depending on, at 95, death, depression, crap is. At 107, elation is. You know, when you're so happy, time flies. For me, when I play pool, 2 hours can fly by. I said, geez, have we played for 2 hours? I wasn't even aware that 2 hours had passed because I was at 107.7. When I feel really lousy, I'm down at 95.5, and then time is just slow and boring, and you have very bad energy. So we're always going to be in this range between 95 and 107. So let's say that our daily average, you and I, are 105.5. So then we get along with people that are in that range. But somebody, okay, I think we spoke about this before. Let's say that you are at a wedding and you run into the same 3 people all the time. You don't even talk to them. But 2 years later, you say, oh, them and them and them, they were at that wedding. And we really don't know why. But they have the same frequency and we register them.
Okay.
And then 3 weeks later, you sit on your iPad looking at the pictures and you see somebody sitting there. Who's that? And you say, oh, he's sitting next to my sister, Sarah. But then he was at my table. But you don't remember him because he has a completely different frequency and we can't really see those people. Our conscious brain can only see 3 things. It cannot register. The subconscious part of the brain registers that house is yellow, that is pink, or whatever you call that color. There's a car driving by. It registers every single thing. But the conscious little brain's, the thumb, 0.0004%, that can only see certain things. And it can only see the people that are in your same frequency. It can't see the rest of it.
What can that part of?
Well, let's say that you want to be pregnant. All of a sudden, you see baby carriages all over the place. Or on the other side, if you're afraid of your illness, your sickness, and then you see sick people all the time. You get diagnosed with cancer, then all of a sudden you see sick people all over the place. Because your brain now starts to see that. The brain can only see 3 things. It can see what you have, what you want, and what you're afraid of. So if you're afraid of something, if you're afraid of spiders, you see spiders everywhere. If you don't give a shit about spiders, if you don't give S about spiders, I mean, of course,
you don't even aware of them.
You can cut that. No, you don't see them because your brain is not looking for them. So that is also, we spoke before. I thought about that just now. We spoke before about EFT, which is a great technique. And there's another great technique. I mentioned in the book, by the way. I have to sell that. That's how
Yeah,
you
of
do
course,
it, right?
that's the point. That's the point.
Oprah Winfrey, I'm going to be on Oprah next week promoting the book. So, actually, does she still work? Anyway, I don't care. The technique here is to rewire your brain. Like I said, if you can only see three things. So, like I write in the book, every night you have a pad and paper, and you just write down three good things about today. No big things, but small things like I sat in the sun and had ice cream. It might not mean anything today, but when you've written that three things every single day, in a month you have 100 things that you can appreciate. Small things. Oh, I saw the sun today. Whatever. No major things. Don't look for like major things like, oh, today the Philly won today in baseball. Who gives a shit? So then, all of a sudden, in your daily life, when you sit there and having ice cream in the sun, your brain, oh yeah, I like this, and then you can be in the now, and just sitting there and soaking up the sun, and just instead of thinking about what am I going to do next, what am I going to do next. So that's a very good thing to do. Write down three good things every day. That's something that I recommend, especially if you have negative thoughts and you see more things you're scared of than you want.
And like,
It's not a one size fits all is going to help solve the world's problems, no. But it's going to help you to start to rewire your thinking and start to noticing things that are good for you and not just what you're afraid of.
yeah.
Very good.
So, habits that shape who we become. From your work with clients, what small daily habits have you seen make the big difference for long term health and well being?
Here you can actually say that from two different points of view as well. First of all, I can't really say that. I can't answer that from my clients, how they feel, because they go to me as a therapist. And most people out there don't have a therapist that knows how to treat the subconscious part of the brain. So I can't really compare that. That is hard to find somebody that knows how to do that in a proper way. It's really hard to do. And don't call me because I only know a few. And, the odds that I know somebody where you are is going to be slim. And I don't even live in Sweden anymore. I live in Spain at the moment. Uh, so from that perspective, I can say, but just the things that we spoke about before, the right three things and the EFT things, that has helped a lot. Like I said, I had professional football players that go into EFT, and there was one other thing I was thinking about. What was that? I can't think of it now. I'll come back later on. My brain's just. I think my brain is thinking too fast, and then I talk too much, and then my brain forgets what I'm talking because I keep blabbing on all the time, and my brain shuts off and say, "Hey, stop, stupid ass!" So he's going on and on and
That's
on.
totally fine. You're doing good.
Okay.
For myself, I can at least tell that I've been in therapy for years and years. I've been in psychotherapy. I've been doing cognitive therapy. I've been doing EMDR. I've been doing somatic experience. Uh, I have also trained myself to learn yoga, mindfulness, breath working, and other type of techniques. Yoga is very good because if you are depressed, you are not much aware that you are living in a body even. So yoga is a good way that you need to learn how to breathe, and that activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And that also helps you calm down if you feel anxiety attacks and stuff like that. But also it makes you more comfortable being in the body, even though you are uncomfortable and stressed. But there's also everything in between that I've learned through sessions with my therapist, that I would actually maybe go for a walk on the beach, listening to the waves, surrounding myself with good people who is building me up. Sports helps a lot, a little bit of training, exercise for the body, what I eat. In the Indian medicine, that's called Ayurveda. It's a huge thing. I know that you mentioned that in the book too. So that's very
And 7 years ago, I wrote the book.
everything what you do for yourself in between, something you learn in the journey, learning to basically live and be the best version of yourself, which is something that you learn on the way while you are walking it. And now I mentioned some therapist techniques that has been helping me a lot, but it's very important to find someone who actually knows what they're doing and they can help you through it. Because when you do this, you need to be in a safe space.
We need that, but we shouldn't downplay the everyday thing, because the everyday thing is very important. Like you said, just walk on the beach and just listen to the ocean or some kid playing, write that down, whatever. But it is very important because you also spoke about the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is very, very important because we got two different kinds of nerve. We got the autonomic nervous system, which has to do with activating our muscle. But when it comes to stress, we have two different nervous systems called parasympathetic nervous system. And then we have parasympathetic nerves and sympathetic nerves. So let's say that you run up a hill. Then your heart is going to beat faster. Then you have the sympathetic nervous system that tells the heart beat faster because you're running up a hill. The hill, and in my case, half hour. In your case, 5 minutes. The heart is going to slow down. Then it's the parasympathetic nervous system that does that. You got the sympathetic nervous system that raises the activity in any organ. It can be your liver, it can be your kidneys, it can be anything. The sympathetic nervous system is going to raise that. The parasympathetic nervous system is going to slow things down. Let's say that the parasympathetic nervous system doesn't work because of mainly stress. The nervous system doesn't work. Then the heart's not going to get the information to slow down. All of a sudden, you go to the doctor and you get a pill. But it wasn't something wrong with the heart in the beginning. It was something wrong with the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system, we can help that every single day by taking walks, by doing these things that we talked about before. Because those little things will help you calm down. And then your parasympathetic nervous system will work.
And you need to learn how to regulate.
Yeah, you have to recognize it. Yes. Like I said, with the three different things. If you start seeing these things, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system and your blood pressure is going to go down. Yeah, but I mean, it could be something wrong with the heart. I'm not saying that every heart issue has parasympathetic.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. But it has been proven that high blood pressure gets vastly, very good word, vastly improved by just buying a dog.
Yeah, exactly.
There are tons of studies that shows this. So depending on how your brain feels, how your brain is feeling at the moment, that's going to affect your heart.
Very good description. You describe it very good in your book. It's two football players. One is not very good, but you have the other one that is extremely good.
He's talking Pelle and Kalle.
Yes, basically. And I think it was very fascinating because they look at the world differently.
Yeah.
The guy who is not that good, a football player, his crush is coming to watch the game, and he's nervous about the game, and he's not confident. It's the same game, same time, same people will be there. And then you have the guy who is the best top scorer on the team. He is confident. while you go into the match. And but they just see and experience the world totally different, and so does um, the conscious and the subconscious inner systems for them. And you can talk more about that too, because it was very interesting. Now we are talking about stress.
That is 100% correct. It has nothing to do with the football game. It has to do with how these two guys, Pelle and Kalle, perceive the game. One is the worst player. He's basically never played because he's got two left knees. And he has to play today because everybody's sick, and beautiful Bettan is going to be there. He knows it. He's very nervous about the game. He feels butterflies in his stomach. And he perceives these butterflies to be anxiety. It's cramping up like this. And Kalle, who's the best player, he's looking forward to scoring 4 goals again. He feels butterflies in his stomach, and he perceives them as being, I want to go out and do it now. Exactly. So, depending on how they feel about the game, they're going to produce different hormones. One's going to produce stress hormones, like the guy was really bad. I can't remember if Kalle or Pelle was good or bad now. Like I said, it's years ago since I read this book. Anyway, but that is not only about the football game. Let's say that running 100 meters, is that good or bad? Stress.
It can be positive stress as well. As you go into
it can.
Mention that in the book. Positive
stress. We
We
can, because if we train for like an idiot to do 100 meters at the local events wherever you are in the world, and you do it, you feel good about yourself. And you feel good about it. You get the hormone. So you get all that. And then on the way home, you park your car, and there's a madman coming with a knife. You have to run the same 100-meter dash, but then your heart is beating. So it has nothing to do with it running in the 100-meter or not. It has to do with what happens around it and how you perceive it.
Yes.
How about pregnancy or getting married? I mean, those things can also become perceived different. If you're forced into a marriage or forced into pregnancy or something like that, that can also be something negative for you. And that, depending on how you perceive it, you will produce different hormones. Let's say that I guess in this case, most people that are listening are more bound to stress. And so we'll talk about stress a little bit if we have time. Just tell me if we run out of time.
No, not at all.
Okay. How the body will. This is a very, very, very big subject. So I'm going to try to keep it as easy, as simple as I can. So the way that the body deals with stress, no matter if it's real stress or not real stress. When I say not real stress, that means, like, for example, there was no danger really from the bad player, but he perceived it as bad. Anyway, so if you perceive something as stress, what happens is that blood is going to be taken from your gut, and you're going to get more blood in your extremities. In your not all the muscles, but your extremities, your legs and arms. So if you stand there against a tiger, you can run faster and longer. And it's also going to release blood fat. The blood fat is also going to be released into the extremities, because if you only can run 10 meters, there's no use. The tiger is going to eat you up. So you need the fat. You need the lipids. The fats. It's going to release fats into your extremities so you can run longer. Now, if you don't deal with that, the excessive of fat, then what happens is that somewhere along the line, your body has to store that. Because if you don't use it, it goes in your blood system, and your body does not like when there's too much fat in your blood. So they have to deposit that somewhere. And we have something called an artery system and veins. The arteries, they shoot blood out, and it goes to your pinky toe, and then it turns around and it goes in. in your veins. And the veins in your legs are fairly big. So what's going to happen is that your body's going to deposit that fat in those veins. This is called arteriosclerosis, by the way, if you want to look it up, arteriosclerosis. And all of a sudden, 15 years later, you sit in the plane, and one of these fatty parts of this is going to be released. And then that's going to go to your heart. The heart's pretty big, so it's not going to stop in the heart. That it can either go to the small, I can't remember the word now. There's a small kretslopp in Swedish. I can't remember the English word for it now. I haven't spoken about this in 7 years either, so I have to keep reminding myself. So it goes into your lungs, and there it gets oxygenated. Now, if this fatty cloth goes into your lung, it's called lung emboli. The symptom for lung emboli is you fall dead. Boom. There are no symptoms. You just fall dead, and you die. That's if it gets stuck in a small circular system. The other option is it goes to your brain, and boom, you have called the English word for it. Like a stroke, not a stroke, but clog. And then you can be either sitting like a vegetable the rest of your life, or no effect, or you die. So it's very important that you every day deal with that little stress. Even if it's just walking on, because we build up stress when we work. If it's just walking 15 minutes, at least you burn that fat in your extremities after work.
Methods for people who are dealing with stress.
Well, a good method. Again, rewire the system. That you have to do, because stress it's a program as well. Almost everything is programmed.
I just wanted to mention this too, because it's so, how we see the world is so, and experience the world is so different from person to person. So for example, like if I experience a lot of bad stuff one place, it's called classically conditioned. You will feel worse just being in that place. You not maybe understand why you feel bad. I'm in this city, why do I feel bad? But you experience something very bad there. And then another person, your friend, not experienced nothing bad there. He feel totally normal. That's how different people are when it comes to stress and anxiety. And why is it that people can experience things so differently? Because again, you get wired in your subconscious system.
Yeah. Well, if you have somebody, let's say two different scenarios. One is you spent your childhood in Jamaica, and you're used to people sleeping under the palms, and you think, "Hey, surf's on, man." And then the other one is you have a parent that's a drunk, and he sleeps out under a tree.
Yeah.
And those wires are very different, because if you see a tree, say, yeah, one says, "Yeah, man, good for you," and one says, "Oh," and then every time he sees somebody, this is maybe a stupid example, but every time he sees somebody under a tree or something like that, he's gonna go back to where he was, where the thing in the beginning. Let's say I don't have contact with my mom anymore, because she was drunk, and we tried to get her into rehab and everything like that, but she laughed at us and says, "Nah, if you think I'm going to give up alcohol, you're stupid." So eventually I had to cut them loose. Like I said before, we sometimes have to cut people from the second half. That pulls us back, and it's not healthy for us to be pulled back all the time. So yes, yeah. So in this case, every time she called, even though I was like 40 years old, I was brought back to what I was 4 and had to deal with her crap. Um, so in order for me to like move forward, I need to cut that off, even though it's your own mother or father or I mean, I had people that has to cut their children off because they were suicidal. I actually had one person that wrote herself into the psyche. He was a therapist. She was a psychologist, and her daughter was suicidal and threatening to kill herself all the time. And the mother was coming to me and said, "Can you help me, please?" And I said, "Yes, but you have to go home and tell your loved ones that you're going to do this now because you're going to crash, seriously crash." And she did. And she, after one treatment, she signed herself in to a mental hospital. She was there for a couple of months, and she was her doing. She wanted to go down to the very bottom to start to rebuild.
Yeah.
And I yeah, and I met her friend that was the one that recommended her to come to me because I didn't see her. She didn't live in Stockholm, so I didn't see her. Um, I was waiting. How is she? How is she? I was a couple months went by and I didn't even know. So I ran into the friend. I said, "How's she doing?" She's doing really, really well, and she's so happy that you helped her with that. It's a saying when my brain and my mouth is on the same level, I can remember it.
Yeah.
It's not until you're lost that you can find new paths. Sometimes you have to be able to lose yourself in order to find new paths.
They do. I think in the Bible, it's the dark soul of the night you have to experience to really go deep and work on yourself.
I trust you with this one, Frederick.
Yeah, but trust me, I've been there.
Well, I think I mentioned that as an example in the book as well. When, if you correct me if I'm wrong, because you read it a couple of weeks ago, I read it 7 years ago, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a part there with a little girl that was hesitant about jumping into the pool.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we'll do that.
About
Yeah,
that example.
yeah, exactly. So let's say Sarah, 4 years old, she has her little arm puffs, and her dad is in the pool playing with her. She's jumping and is screaming, and she's so joyful. Her mom is laying on the sunbed and just, her glasses and, not really caring. Uh, so then daddy takes the arm puffs off and he walks out a meter and a half, 6 feet. If you're in the US, 6 feet, 182 in centimeters. And he says, "Come, Sarah, jump, jump, jump." And then mom gets the attention. Mom says, "Yeah, Sarah, jump." And she says, "I can't, I'm scared, I'm scared." So after a couple of minutes of convincing Sarah to jump, she jumps. She takes the leap of faith, which is not a word, leap of faith. I don't know if we're going to get into that or not, but she takes the leap of faith and somehow, in a doggy style way, she makes her way to her dad 6 feet away, 182 centimeters away. And she's joyful. She's screaming with joy. She was so happy. Now, if this would not have happened, two things would have happened. First, she might never have learned to swim because she didn't have the confidence, or she would learn how to swim around the rim, always scared of letting go of the safety of the pool rim. It's always scared. So if she has to swim, if she really has to break free, she has to sometimes get lost in order to find new paths. If she has to learn, she has to swim straight forward. You can't just swim around, because when Sarah is 40 and she feels that I should have done so much more with my life, and it's because you've been swimming around. You're afraid of letting go of your safety, whether it's a pool rim or a relationship or a job or whatever it is. If you don't let go of that, you're just going to cling on to it, and then you're going to keep getting what you're getting. Einstein had some saying about that. Einstein said, I think there's something like that. Stupidity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah. And, that's the thing. You need to, if you want to move on in life and get it better, you need to find different techniques and a different plan and structure to get you to where you want to be. and definitely go out of the comfort zone.
Yes. Running out of time because I don't know if I have anything else to talk about. I'm not that interesting.
Oh,
I'm
yes,
not
we
that
do.
deep. Okay.
We do have. Yeah. Many people carry around regret about choices they made in life. How can regret actually be turned into a tool for growth instead of something that drags us down?
The good thing about this thing is that this is not I didn't know the questions before, so it's a
Makes it more fun
yeah,
when
yeah.
it's like
I have to
this.
think about. Can you repeat that question so my brain has a couple of seconds to think about this?
Regret about the choices they've made in life. Hold on to bad stuff. Hold on to past. People do that. How can regret actually be turned into a tool for growth instead of something that drags us down and keeping us from actually moving forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a big question, and we base all our decisions, like we spoke about before, on the information you have on your thumb, and you do decisions dependent on what's been programmed by you, by your parents, by people that are in your age between 0 and 6, first and foremost. So basically, you base your decisions, what you do that, what's on your thumb here. So it's can't really blame yourself that much because you didn't know. Sometimes you didn't know better.
You're not in the fair about
No,
it.
you know, no, you're not aware of it, and you just that. But that also not always true though, because sometimes not. Sometimes you're just a bad person.
Yeah, and it's easier not to change.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because then you don't have to do the hard work.
I was thinking about maybe there's not a good metaphor here. I'm thinking about trying to explain it in a metaphor, which is easier than trying to get into all the hormones and shit like that all the time. I think that if we let's say that okay, we can do this and then you see if it's relevant or not.
All right?
If it's not relevant, you can just cut it.
You always cut things.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, it's let's say that you can view yourself. Well, the football match we talked about, but let's say you can view yourself as a train ride. Your life is a train ride. You get on the train, and your parents are there, and then maybe a sibling comes, or maybe siblings that are already on your train when you get on the train. So you go in life on the train, and when you're 3, 4 years old, you get some friends. Some come, and then they leave again, and then new friends come, and eventually, you get to be a teenager. A guy or a girl comes along, and they move, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore. So people are in your life are going to come on all the time, and they're going to jump off. End of story. Your mom and dad might be there the whole life. Your sibling might be there all life, but the rest of them, we come and go. It's just life. So here, you can either, if you spend all the time thinking about what did I say, or why did they jump off the train, and you want them, you regret so much that they jumped off the plane, or you said something wrong, then you focus on what happened before. Or the other one is you're afraid who's going to come on the next station. So then you're either, because these are two different brains as well. Your subconscious part of the brain is here and now. Your conscious part of the brain is afraid of what's been, or regret what they said or done there, or afraid of the future. But the conscious part of the brain is never here. The subconscious part of the brain, which is where we are when we play pool, for example, then we're here and now.
In the present.
In the present, yeah. So if you focus on what happened before or what's going to happen ahead, then you're not here. You're not present at this time. And then people are going to get off the train because you're not there. Why are they going to be on your train for? You're not even there. And the thing is that we don't know when our train is going to come to an end. It might be the next stop. 50 years from now, we don't know. So we have to try to not regret so much, but think about we are here and now, and the only thing we can do is to change where we are right now.
I think it's from Buddhism that if you are living in the past, you are living in depression, and if you are living in the future, you are living in fear.
Yeah, exactly. 100% correct.
But because of technology today and all the influence you get from TV or whatever outside, it causes a lot of stress too. So that is why it's so important to train yourself to be in the present and enjoy life while it's happening.
Switch places if you want. We can switch places, so I can interview you instead. Because you're 100% correct.
It's very interesting. Yeah. The long perspective. If someone wants to change their life to create a better life and something new for themselves, what's the most important question they should start asking themselves today?
Would do this from a different angle then. There's a guy called Simon Sinek. If you've never seen Simon Sinek, you look him up on YouTube. He has a circle. Can't remember the name of it now, but he's really brilliant man. He has 3 circles. There's an outer circle which is called what, and there's a middle circle called how, and then there's a small circle in the middle called why. So basically, we start by watching, like you said, TV and everything like that. We see commercials, for example. They start on what? What do they have? A car has 4 wheels. It's got the air conditioning. It's got turbo, blah blah blah. And buy one. How buy one? But they don't address why. Let's say that you're a therapist, and I remember some of my students, or colleagues later on, of course, they can call me and say, I have a client with this and this condition. What do I do? I said, no, I don't know, because I don't know the why. I mean, if you want me to help you, I have to know why. So most therapists, they start with what you have, your symptoms, for example, and then how can I help them? But they never address why. Why do you have these symptoms? Why do you have this? Because you have to start with the why. Once you establish the why you have this, then you can go to how can I help them, and then what can I do? But you can't start from the outside, because then you don't address the core issue. I was talking about something. You have to write down what I keep forgetting it. That old. So in order for you to do the changes, you have to address why.
Yeah.
Why? Why do I have this? Why do I what do I want? Why?
Why do I have this problem? What do I want to change?
Yeah, but always start with why. Why? Why am I still in this relationship? Why am I this here? Why am I doing this? Why am I holding on to the rim? Why am I doing it? Once you establish the why, then acknowledge to yourself, this is me. It's nothing wrong with you. This is the first half. It's the first half. You remember, we're in the intermission now. We have to establish why. Why are we down to 0? And then once you've established that why, then you can think of, okay, what are we going to do? So start with why you have it, because those are the decisions you made in your first half, depending on what you had on your thumb. Yeah, exactly. When you're 40, you're a lot wiser than you were 20. Well, I wasn't, but because I was
most people.
Yeah, most people. Yeah, I got married the second time then, so I can't say that I was smarter. I was smarter when I was 20 and moved to the US.
You haven't tried, you haven't lived.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've been there, done that.
Good point, and it's about the why, and basically also self-awareness, and find a new. If something that's working for you, try a different strategy. You need to change something, but it starts with yourself, and you need to be aware what you need to change and why you want to change.
Yes.
Yes. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Ooh. Was that in the book?
Oh, that's something I actually found
Okay,
out.
okay.
We are on my personal
Okay,
questions. So
okay,
ask everyone.
because remember I said this book is from 2017. I've learned a couple things after that as well, and yeah, um, I actually do that when I do called another technique that what was just a quick just detour here. Another technique that's really 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 good is called Psych K.
Like K.
Kinesiology. Psych K is very good at this, and I do this. And you know, when you do this, it's very weird. I do when I do my. I have also developed that. I mean, not Psych K, but I've redeveloped them according to my previous knowledge. I have another level of that now that I've taught my students. Because the basic anybody can learn, but I want to do it more advanced. Like I said, and funnel it down.
Yes.
And then do it then. And that is extremely, extremely efficient. And I say, listen, if you want to do that, we have to do a couple of craniosacrals before we do that, because that is so powerful and it will change you forever. So when I do that, I do the same thing. At one stage, they stand like this. And the subconscious part of the brain is going to just, they stand up, and they're just going to let the subconscious part of the brain just come in, not you, the subconscious brain will come in. And when they're here, I said, imagine 4-year-old Sarah. She's crying. She's desperate, she's crying. Of course, the Sarah standing here. I said, imagine 4-year-old Sarah standing here. Sorry, she's crying. You're holding Sarah, holding her, and she's crying desperately. What do you want to say to her? And they don't usually say anything. I said, no, say it. Say it out loud. Sarah, it's okay. Say it with feeling. And they say it with feeling, and they start to cry. And I said afterwards, okay, does Sarah want to give you what happened to you in life? And then I said, just think, just don't think, just stand there and just feel whatever it says. And Sarah would say, it turns out pretty good. It's very powerful, and I say it to them because you are all Sarah. You are Sarah 4. You're Sarah 12. You're Sarah 20. You're Sarah 40. It's all of you.
Yes, it's
yeah, and you can't hate Sarah 4 because she did that, or hate Sarah 20 because she did that. You have to invite Sarah for yourself for some cinnamon buns and some juice. You have to include everybody here. What was the question again?
This now. We go back to the questions later, because it's very interesting what you're saying now. Because in the therapy I've been in now, we actually are working with Frederick when I was 2 months old.
Yeah.
Because I've been so angry at him, because he has been wired to ruin all my relationships, because I've been too needy when I'm in relationship, and I have been self-sabotaging relationship, because I've been very afraid that the person I'm with is going to leave me, so I will always sabotage the relationship before that person leave me.
Because you don't love Freddy too. You have to get Freddy 2 into your life because you are Freddy 2. Yeah, you're all Freddys. There's no
basically like to heal the inner child and get all the parts with you to the same balance and level, so you can move forward without all those traumas and baggage you have been carrying on.
Think of this as instead of you being different ages, think of this as your 5 different children.
Yeah.
And one child is never invited to cinnamon bun and juice, and that is going to resent everybody, and she's going to hate, and you're not going to like. So in order for get the family to heal, we have to bring all in and just be love to everybody, same as our age.
Exactly.
I have a very, I'm going to say this when I remember it. I met my second wife when she had 3 children and 3 girls, and I had a son. And it was important to me that, well, to both of us, I guess, but I'm thinking from my perspective now, that I didn't want, because the kids were only 3, 4, and sort of 5. They weren't like 19 years old, so they were young. And I did not want those kids to hate me when they were 19 because I stole their dad from them. So we agreed that they should visit their dad as often as possible, so they got to know their dad. And so one day, one of the girls said, "Why do you hate us?" And me and Mike said, "We don't hate you. Why do you force us to go to our dad?" I said, "No, we're not forcing you at all. We're doing this so you can get to know him and he can get to know you." But she thought we hated her because we forced them to go.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go.
Sending him away.
But imagine if she had not mentioned that to us. Imagine when she was 20 and when she was 4, 5, she thought that we hated her. Even though we did the right thing, she didn't perceive it that way.
No, not at all in this case.
No, I mean, we all perceive different things. And for example, a child that doesn't know would, come on, do it. In Swedish, beat someone. Come on.
Yeah, beat someone.
Clench your teeth and move on. Or a child doesn't understand, well, clench your teeth or beat ihop in Swedish, that they don't know what that means. You know, they don't know that. We adults know what it means, but the child doesn't know that. So just go clench their jaws. It's like, I'm supposed to clench my jaws, but they don't know why. So they don't understand what we say sometimes, and we have to be very clear with our communication with a kid about conscious parenting. We talk about what you as parents do, even though our intention was 100% correct, for them to get to know their biological dad. It can turn out so bad.
Yeah, I mean, the way the child was looking at the situation was totally different from your intention. But it's also, you say in your book that a child, they don't do what you say, they do what you do as a role model for them. It's a very good point.
Yeah, they do, because they don't understand. Remember, between the year 0 and 6, you do not understand the word not.
No, exactly.
Don't do that. They don't understand not. They hear do it.
Yeah.
And what we talk about that, I remember now in the book, I had an example there when you say to yourself, "I do not want to be like my mother."
Yeah.
Because that's fairly common. I mean, I'm talking about therapists now, because I never want to be my mother. So I'm talking completely as a therapist, you know. I never said I don't want to be like my mother or I want to be like my mother. Never. So this is the therapist talking now. So let's say that I say that I don't want to be like my mother. And the brain cannot understand the word not. So that starts looking for what mother does. And mother sits like this, or she sits like this. All of a sudden, the woman sits like this, because she programmed her subconscious part of the brain that does not understand the word not. So even though she's 40 or 30 and she says, "I don't want to be like my mother," the conscious part of the brain, this part, hears it, "I don't want to be like my mother." But the subconscious part of the brain here, "I want to be like my mother," because he doesn't understand the word not. So then that starts to look and see what your mother does on a subconscious level. Not that you study, okay, mama's sitting like this, I'm going to sit like this. You just do it.
Yeah, you don't even,
because your subconscious part of the brain is communicating with the other one. I know this might sound abstract to a lot of people, but this is how it works. I worked with this for 30 plus years, and I developed my own stuff, and I have read a lot about before. When you start your own treatment technique and you have courses in 5 different countries, you have to know your shit, and I've studied a lot.
Oh yeah.
I have studied a lot.
Come prepared.
I have been a keynote speaker on many occasions, and I've had doctors come up to me and question me, and I said, "Listen, I know my shit," and I tell them. After a while, they say, "Yeah, you know your shit." Yeah. So then they accept it because I know it.
It's we need to talk about a little bit about this too. it's very normal for a child to blame themselves for the traumas that they have been going through. And that's something you carry with you, like you said, on the subconscious level until you address it your whole life. And it's a very hard thing actually because a child don't understand why bad stuff is continuing and have bad stuff happening. If it's bullying, um, maybe mom and dad were not there emotionally available that much. In my case, um, uh, yeah, abandoned and adopted, but it's the child in me is always carrying around that feeling of that someone that didn't want it,
Yeah.
and working with that now, and I can rationally as well. It's a lot of reason for what happened, and I can understand that more as an adult. But I can at least I can speak for myself and say that the child in me is always caring about that, carry around that feeling of lack of self worth,
Yeah.
for instance. Um, a good way to cope with something like that. What could that be?
For me, it's very simple because that's treatable.
Yeah.
So it's not a major issue to treat. It's something that
It's something that a lot of doctors carry around.
yeah.
Um,
I can imagine,
and
but
other people too.
like we said before, you're Freddy too as well, and now you can't be afraid of him or hate him or don't want him around. He's going to be around to the day you die. You
Yeah.
just accept that he's
It's
going
a
to be
part,
there
yeah.
and say, "This is a part of me. This is part of my first half. I can't."
Be more kind to
Yeah,
yourself.
be more kind to yourself and say, "Listen, this happened to me. I didn't want to be adopted. I didn't want to be abandoned. I didn't want my mom to be an alcoholic. I didn't want my dad to die early. There's tons of things I
Yes,
didn't want,
exactly.
and I can't go blame myself for what happened or shit happens in life, and
Yeah, it
it's
does.
how it's how you deal with it. And remember, this is part of your first half as well. This happened to you in your first half, and if you carry it with you, it's going to be part of your second half as well. So the only way to get rid of that is to accept it. Why? It happened. Well, why it happened? You don't know why. Maybe your birth mom had mental issues. Maybe something. Maybe I don't know.
Could be a lot of
We
things.
will never know why things happen to us sometimes. Um, they do happen to all of us. I've had people that has children who died in the tsunami, and there was. I've had actually many people who died in the tsunami as clients. Not the men that died, but the ones that survived.
Yeah, yeah, the ones too that
Yeah,
survived,
because
of course.
the other part is a completely different show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're
Yes.
not going to get into that now. Yeah, so in order for me to help them, again, in this case, I had to put them in that stress physiology, as I said. I had to put them on the beach, and in this case, I remember one case, and I think I used either Psyche or EFT on her for sure, because those are the best techniques. Or craniosacral is also very good in this case. The techniques that I will use. Um, so in this case, I said to her, "Okay, you've been here now 3 times, and what is different now?" And she said, thought about it for a while. So says, it's like I'm watching a huge TV screen. It still affects me a lot, and I cry, and I see and I hear the people screaming. Difference now is that I'm not in the picture myself. Yeah, and then after every treatment, she felt like she became more and more. All of a sudden, it was just a little small TV there, but that TV is always going to be there. Her
Yeah.
child died, and that we can't change that. We can't change that child died in the tsunami. We can't change what happened to Freddie too. That happened. That TV is always going to be there. What you have to get is to go further and further and further away from that, and to get distance yourself to it, and think that there's more things than life than the TV screen. Uh,
I understand what you mean in a way. The traumas get more in the background. As more you can embody it and process in the subconscious system as well.
Has to be in the subconscious because that's where the seed is planted. You can't sit on 13-point hertz and talk like this forever because 13, 13, 13, 13. What happened with 6.2 where the actual seed is?
Exactly.
If you want to get rid of this, you have to treat it where that is.
Yeah, that's a very important.
Yeah, it is very, very, very important. That's why things could be more efficient in the hospitals and in care of people that has been adopted or been through traumas. That is lacking enormously in today's Western world. Yeah.
Of it, and also trying to create programs and techniques and people who actually are trained to do this. So yeah, we could go back. Should we go back to the question?
Yeah, what was the question?
This is my questions I usually have for all my guests at the podcast. And if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice.
Get a different job.
What did you want it to?
No, I did. No, I'm just joking. Because the problem is that as a chiropractor in the U.S., you make a shitload of money.
Yes.
Because they go on like on a conveyor belts. They have like 10 different ones, and they go boom, 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 boom. Same thing for all of them. My chiropractic takes about 30 to 40 minutes. And when you do that, you try to charge for that, then they say, well, listen, it costs only 10 euros to go to him. Why should I pay 40 to go to you? Because there you're there 7 minutes, including undressing and paying. Here you got 40 minutes, and we deal with your subconscious part of the brain. You know, it's different, completely different. So I've never made money as a chiropractor. I've struggled most of the time. What saved me was that I did a lot of courses in the UK and Sweden first and foremost was where I made some money. But on the other hand, I've always wanted to help people. That's always been a common thread in my life.
Different.
Maybe I should have been like an American chiropractor, just pop and pray and walk away, and just make a couple thousand every day, instead of making 40, 50 a day. And
you probably make more difference now.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. Now
something to take with
an
you.
advice for my old self.
Younger self.
My younger. So yeah, my younger. That's what I meant.
Yes.
Be yourself. You're good as you are.
And what would you recommend someone who wants to work as a therapist and in the health world?
Yeah, I'd say it's hard work. It's hard work, and just because you have a diploma does not mean they're going to come knocking on your door. You have to collaborate with other people. You have to educate yourself, and you have to be the best. I remember a couple of years ago, a good friend of mine who I later educated in my treatment form, when he graduated chiropractic, I was like a sort of a mentor for a couple of people there, and he was one of them. Martin, he lives in Dalarna now, and he's also very good. Martin Wiknander, very good therapist. He knows what he's doing. So I said to him, Martin, what distinguishes you as a chiropractor? Why should it go to you and not somebody who's worked for 30 years? And he said something like, well, my knowledge is fresh, and I have the latest knowledge. I said, but, you know, they have experience. They've seen thousands of clients like this. And that's something, if you become a therapist, you have to ask yourself, why would they go to me?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Again, start with a why. Why
There's
would they go to me?
a lot of competition out there.
It's a cutthroat business. It's not as bad as modeling or anything like that, but it's tough. It's not, and being a massage therapist, that is hard work. That is hard work. Learn to do techniques like EFT, Psych K, craniosacral. That doesn't require heavily body work because as a massage therapist, there's no massage therapists that are 70 years old.
Oh, it's a reason for it.
Yeah, but there are
it's,
tons of
physically,
chiropractors
hard.
they are still working at 70 because it is not physically demanding to be a chiropractor. You don't stand there for 8 hours a day doing manual work. So learn techniques that are save your energy and read a lot about how the brain functions so you know why. Why? And it took me years and years and years and years. Part of it is in the book, but a lot of it is not in the book.
You can probably learn always something.
My next Swedish book is going to be about the conscious parenting stuff. Going to be focusing on how the brain how the child's brain function. We take that up in the book as well, but I want to address it more to mothers, parents, the young kids, preferably under 2, where you can make a huge impact. Once they're 18, 20, it's really too late to change that. What happened before? So that is something I've actually been asked to do, and it's to write a book is not something you do on a weekend. It takes a lot of
requires time and focus.
Yeah.
So what's next for you in life? Any future plans?
Well, first of all, I do not want to own a clinic again. When I moved down to Spain, we had money and we opened up a brand new clinic in Center City. It cost us about 40,000 euros to open. Well, just a table that raises up and down is like almost, it's a lot of money. It costs at least 15,000 for that, just for the table. So we open up and we spend a shitload of money on advertisement and everything. That was in November. And then COVID came knocking on the door in February, and we lost everything, and we lost about 200,000 euros in there. And I said to myself, I'm never going to own a clinic again. I'd rather just rent because I'm older. If I was 20, maybe I would want a clinic myself, but I don't want a clinic myself. What I want to do now is that I love to see clients still. I mean, but I don't want to have 6 or 7 of them a day. That was burned out during COVID. I lost like you need an edge to have it. You need a passion. And if you don't, if during 2 years you don't work at all and you see your money goes down all the time, you sort of lose what you wanted to do. You have to think differently. And I had to rewire my brain. And now I want to see clients, but I don't want to own my own clinic. I want to do retreats and courses because I want to educate people how it works. Even though I'm not really keen on treating them myself, but I still have the passion to help people. And if I can have students or people that comes to my retreats, then I can help them.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, so that's basically what I do. And I've also starting to do some trading online as well, just because I need to get money as well.
Of course.
Yeah,
we all do.
Yeah.
So, what is your dreams forward now?
That also changed. My dream when I started chiropractic, when I started my college and when I developed it, my dream was that chiropractic medicine would outlive me. That was the reason why I wrote the book in the first place. So there would be words of me left when I died. So when I died, I wanted chiropractic medicine to, in about 34 years, because it is on the cutting edge. I mean, my students say, Mike, your problem, Mike, is that you're 30 years ahead of everybody. They don't understand what you're talking about. That's why I'm saying sometimes it sounds abstract when I say something, and it doesn't. It's not common knowledge, so it's like, whoa, what's that crap? Yeah,
Yeah, it's usually
that's going to be said.
it's normal
On it.
to
Yeah,
get that
that's normal.
approach when
Yeah,
people don't understand.
yeah, they're no, they don't understand. I mean, not every.
Yeah, some do, of course, but
Uh, uh, and uh, and then my life goal was that the chiropractic medicine would outlive me. I would die, and I would be on Wikipedia as the founder of this, and then hopefully my kids would keep running it. None of them has shown any interest at all about treating people, so that didn't work. So that's not my aim anymore. Right now, I just want to take every day as the last, because, like I said before, you never know when it's your turn to get off your train. And I had big houses, I had big cars. You've been in my house; it was huge. And in COVID, we lost everything. So now I'm 60 next year, not years, single next
yeah.
year, 60 next year. And right now, I just want to take it simple. I don't want any big houses anymore. I don't want cars anymore. I don't care about that anymore. I want to help people and just enjoy my life. So
That's very good. Fortitude means strength. What kind of state of mind, mental qualities, techniques have you used most in your private life and with clients to improve life and be the best version of yourself?
every time that I treat somebody, I also get that energy because you have certain energy. Just say that uh, since you come to me, you're probably at 101.1, and I'm at 104 because I'm not sick. You come to me because you're either sick or you're stressed or you're in pain, which means that you're probably lower on the scale we talked about before. And every time that I treat somebody, I also get treated. Um, and hmm, I don't know how not to answer the question in another way. What
Mm.
have I done? What have I done? Uh, I've you know I have you have expectations of me. My wives have had expectations of me. My kids have expectations of me. The people I play pool with have expectations of me. The people I play tennis with had. The people I played football with all had different expectations of me. And one day I said to myself, F them. I'm just going to be myself. And I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to be myself. Every night I want to go to bed and I want to say to myself, I haven't cheated anybody today. I've been good today. I haven't charged extra money or told them come back 3 more times. I can go to bed with a clear conscience saying, I have done my best today. I might not have helped everybody. All people might not have liked what I've did or done to them, but I've done the best I could. And I have to be satisfied with me doing the best I can is good enough for me. Say that if you're an athlete and you want to go to Olympics, and everybody says, "Oh, is your gold your goal? Is that your goal to get a medal?" But the goal should really be, I want to do the best race I've ever done. I cannot affect if the other ones run faster than me or not, but I want to do the best race I've ever had. And if I do my best race ever, I'm content with myself. If 2 more people run faster than me, I can't change that. I can only change myself. A couple of years ago in ice hockey, and one team was a very heavy favorite of winning the semifinals or something like that. So the coach for the other team was interviewed, and the journalist said, "How are you gonna stop all the other team's stars?" Because they were huge favorites, they had big stars. And the guy said, Charlie Berglund is called. He said, I can't affect their stars. I can't change them. I can't do anything for them. I can only affect my team. I don't focus on how good they are, what they do. I only focus on how am I going to get my team to do as good as they can. If that's enough, I don't know. But we can only do our best. And that's how I try to live my life. I just want to do the best I can every day. And that's I think everybody should just try to do the best they can that day. And if somebody else is better, can't do anything about that. You don't want to focus on the people that run faster than you, because that's going to affect your running.
It's a good answer. Being adaptive and be self-aware of who you are today and try to improve. Very good answer. Yes. So, your book again?
I don't think people are
Ditt
interested in the book
framtida
anymore.
jag. Your future self. It's at Amazon. The details will be in the show notes. And where can people reach out for you if they want?
I think that the best way to reach out to me, because I don't, like I said, I am minimalistic now. I don't have any websites anymore. I had a website before. I actually had tons of websites before, but now it's just minimalistic. It's just WhatsApp or email.
That will also be in the show notes. Yes. Thank you for being here and sharing your story and your knowledge. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm sorry that my brain and mouth does not communicate all.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
It was fun to be here.
Namaste.
Namaste.